Someone in your life is playing games with you right now. He's smiling to your face. She's acting like your biggest supporter, and neither of them is what they appear to be. You already feel it, that unsettling sense that something's off, that you keep losing ground without understanding why. By the end of this video, you're going to have 10 psychological principles drawn from one of history's sharpest strategic minds, and you'll know exactly how manipulation works, how to recognize it, and how to make yourself nearly impossible to target. Stay until the very end, because there's something special waiting for you that could genuinely change the way you navigate every relationship and power dynamic in your life. Let's be clear about something from the start. This isn't about becoming cruel. It's not about becoming the very thing you're trying to protect yourself from. It's about understanding the environment you're already in, because refusing to see the game doesn't remove you from it. It just makes you the easiest piece on the board. Machiavelli didn't teach evil. He taught awareness. And awareness is the most dangerous thing you can carry into a room full of people who've already picked their sides. Principle 1. Why dirty players love good people. Here's the hard truth that nobody wants to hear. The people who get targeted most often aren't weak or foolish. They're good. They're consistent. They show up the same way for everyone, expecting the same decency in return. And that's precisely what makes them vulnerable. Dirty players don't hunt for weakness directly. They hunt for patterns. They watch who hesitates before speaking. They notice who gives the benefit of the doubt one too many times. They identify who feels guilty for holding a firm boundary. These aren't character flaws. But in the wrong environment, they're signals, and signals invite exploitation. When you assume the other person shares your values, you've already handed them control over timing, tone, and outcome. He doesn't need to overpower you. He just needs to wait for you to self-limit. Machiavelli understood that in hostile environments, being completely predictable isn't virtue, it's exposure. The solution isn't cruelty, it's strategic ambiguity. You don't owe consistency to those who haven't earned trust. You don't owe clarity to those who are quietly collecting information about you. Drop this affirmation in the comments right now. Type the words, "I see the game." Principle 2. The art of controlled weakness. When you display your full capability openly, people close ranks. They become cautious. They give you less. But when you allow small, deliberate gaps to appear, something interesting happens. They relax. They reveal priorities they'd normally guard. They over-explain. They rush their decisions. Controlled weakness isn't pretending to be incapable. It's choosing when not to correct an assumption, when not to challenge a statement, when not to reveal that you've already understood every move 3 steps back. This keeps the channel of information flowing toward you. There's power in letting assumptions remain uncorrected. If someone believes you didn't notice a contradiction, he'll repeat it. Patterns emerge. Intent becomes visible. What he thinks is invisibility is actually exposure. The most unsettling person in any room isn't the loudest. It's the one whose full capacity remains unknown until the moment it matters. Now I want to take a second here to ask you to subscribe to this channel because we consistently go deeper into the psychology of power, influence, and mental strategy than anywhere else, and you deserve to have that kind of insight arriving in your feed regularly. Hit the button if you haven't already. Principle 3. Why explaining yourself makes you lose. The moment you start justifying your actions to someone who isn't acting in good faith, you've surrendered authority over interpretation. What felt like transparency to you becomes material for them. Every explanation you offer creates structure, and structure creates angles. Dirty players aren't listening to understand. They're listening to extract. They're waiting for emotional language, inconsistencies, gaps they can reframe later. Silence, on the other hand, offers no surface to attack. What remains unsaid can't be weaponized against you. When authority makes a decision, it doesn't audition its reasoning for approval. It announces, then moves forward. The less you explain to those operating in bad faith, the fewer handles exist for manipulation. Remember, we're getting to that special content at the end, so keep watching. Principle 4. Dirty players never attack. They position. Direct confrontation is rarely how sophisticated manipulation operates. Open attacks create visibility and resistance. Positioning reshapes outcomes without friction. He doesn't push you into conflict. He places you inside circumstances where any response you give works against you. Instead of accusing, he suggests. Instead of opposing, he frames. Instead of challenging, he quietly arranges conditions that narrow your options. Then when tension rises, he stays calm, and the contrast does his work for him. Defending yourself loudly confirms the frame that something needs defending. The more energy you pour into correcting perception, the more attention you draw to it. The counter isn't aggression, it's composure and observation. Slow down, refuse to perform the expected role, respond minimally. Positioning collapses when there's no reaction to amplify. Drop this in the comments. Type, I choose position. Principle 5. Why fairness is a trap. Fairness only functions inside a shared agreement. The moment one side abandons the rules while you stay loyal to them, your fairness becomes a liability. He's calculating advantage while you're calculating ethics. She's already moved 3 steps forward while you're still deciding what's appropriate. Machiavelli didn't dismiss justice. He contextualized it. He understood that without leverage, justice is purely decorative. Dirty players respect consequences, not ideals. When behavior carries no cost, it repeats. When imbalance creates comfort, it deepens. Once you stop needing to appear fair to those already acting in bad faith, clarity returns immediately. Principle 6. The psychology of delayed response. Speed disguises itself as confidence, and dirty players count on that. They push for quick answers and fast emotional reactions because momentum reduces your ability to choose deliberately. When you pause instead of reacting, their certainty cracks. Their minds race to fill the silence. They start second-guessing their approach. The pause denies them the feedback they need to calibrate their next move. Those who rush leak information. Those who wait gather it. A delayed response isn't weakness. It signals self-command. And self-command is one of the most intimidating things another person can witness. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I control the pace. Principle 7. Why they try to confuse your identity. When someone can't destabilize your behavior directly, they target something deeper. They go after your sense of self. He arrives with subtle commentary. She makes comparisons to who you used to be, wrapped in a tone of concern. The goal isn't correction, it's disorientation. Once you start questioning whether you're acting in character, your energy redirects inward, away from observation and towards self-evaluation. Dirty players exploit that window. The defense is internal anchoring. When your values are self-established rather than socially defined, external commentary loses its grip. She can question, he can imply. But doubt doesn't take root when you're genuinely settled in who you are. And here's something important. If you're finding these principles resonating with you, there's something at the end of this video that you're going to want to hear. Stay with me. Principle 8. The most underrated weapon is inconsistency. Consistent behavior is readable behavior, and readable behavior is exploitable. Dirty players thrive on prediction. They test reactions, map your habits, and design their approaches around what they've learned about you. Controlled inconsistency breaks that design. It doesn't mean chaos. It means selective variation. It means choosing when to engage and when to step back without offering explanations for the shift. When access to you isn't guaranteed, behavior around you adjusts. Respect increases quietly. Unpredictability signals autonomy in a way that consistency never can. Drop in the comments. I am unpredictable. Principle 9. Why walking away creates fear. Dirty players depend on your participation. He anticipates argument. She expects you to defend yourself. When you remove yourself instead, the entire structure they relied on collapses. Without your response, their effort loses purpose. Fear arises from uncertainty. When you exit without explanation, he's left guessing whether he misjudged the situation, overreached, or simply lost control. That uncertainty shifts focus inward. Instead of targeting you, he reassesses himself. Walking away signals self-sufficiency. It communicates that your outcomes don't depend on this particular engagement, and that's one of the most unsettling messages you can send. Principle 10. The final truth. Becoming unreachable. The objective has never been domination. It's elevation beyond reach. When your internal state can't be manipulated, external behavior loses relevance entirely. He loses the ability to provoke a useful reaction. She loses the leverage that came from knowing your limits. When interacting with you becomes consistently costly, attention moves elsewhere. Not because you defeated anyone, simply because the return on investment disappeared. Machiavelli understood that position is maintained through consistency of principle, not predictability of behavior. Values stay stable. Expression varies. And that balance confuses those seeking leverage while grounding the people worth keeping close. Now let's talk about something that ties directly into everything we've covered today, because awareness is only half the equation. The other half is having the internal architecture to actually operate from that level of clarity consistently. That's where the self-mastery system comes in. Think about it honestly. You've read material, you've listened, you've gathered insights, and yet there's still a gap between understanding and embodying. That gap exists because most approaches give you fragments. A mindset tip here, a productivity hack there. What you actually need is a complete system. The self-mastery bundle is exactly that. It's 30 comprehensive guides and over 210 interactive tools built to help you move from self-doubt to unshakable confidence, from scattered attention to deep, deliberate focus, from knowing what you should do to actually doing it with consistency. It's designed to address your mindset, your habits, your sense of purpose, and your daily execution all at once. Right now, there's a special launch offer available, and you can find all the details in the description below. If everything we've discussed today about mental sharpness and strategic positioning resonates with you, this is the system that helps you build it from the inside out, not just intellectually but practically, day by day. And now, the special content I promised you. Here are 3 phrases you can use in any moment where someone is attempting to manipulate your response. When someone provokes you to explain yourself, try saying simply, "I don't need to add anything to that." Full stop. No elaboration. When someone attempts to confuse your identity or question your character, try this. "I'm clear on who I am." Nothing more. When someone tries to escalate and draw you into their frame, use this. "That doesn't require my energy right now." These aren't scripts for being cold. They're precision tools for staying positioned. Each one denies the other person the reaction they're designing for. Each one returns the silence to them. Practice them until they feel natural, because the goal isn't to win arguments. It's to stop playing games you didn't agree to enter. Everything in this video comes down to one truth. You don't become powerful by adding noise. You become powerful by removing predictability. You become harder to reach, harder to read, and harder to move. And when someone realizes he can't provoke you, can't manipulate you, can't extract the reaction he was counting on, he'll stop trying. Not out of respect, out of pure self-interest, because manipulation only works where access is cheap. Before you go, you need to watch the next video showing on your screen right now. It's about boosting your intelligence using dark psychology principles, and you should watch it immediately because it takes everything you've learned today about awareness and positioning and shows you how to actively sharpen your mind using the same psychological frameworks that the most strategically intelligent people in history have quietly relied on. It's not what you're expecting, and that's exactly why it's worth your time. Stay sharp, stay aware, and never play a game you don't fully understand. Click now, and I'll see you there.